Happy Father's Day, everyone. How you guys doing? We are doing good. Me and you, girl, here. Um, so what you do for Father's Day?
Um, Nothing much. We just, chilled at the house.
Your siblings draw anything?
They didn't want to.
Oh,
I kept telling them to, and they're like, nah.
but when it's Mama's Day, they'd be drawing all day,
I think they actually did draw something for my mom.
but not your father. For shame. Did you draw something?
No, I'm not really an artist. But speaking of Father's Day, what are we gonna be talking about?
I know I joked about it in the beginning of the season, but I think we're gonna talk about abortion today. What side of the aisle do you stand on?
I am pro-choice.
Pro-choice. Well, that makes me pro-life.
Are you just
So,
so if I said I was pro-life, you would have said pro-choice?
no.
So this is something you genuinely believe.
Yes.
So do you believe that like abortion should be illegal?
Not illegal. And I can let you know why as soon as you throw some evidence in my way, some facts.
What facts do you want me to mention?
Well, what do you got? Okay, what's the biggest problem you got with my side of the story?
I think it's because people who are typically pro-life want to make it illegal.
I mean, a lot of people kill babies. I mean, is that right?
No, but if you're getting an abortion, it's not alive.
It's a murder. You killed it. You killed it. It's like when you start a fire and then you put it out before it become a fire. It's just a spark. You just killed something that was going to become something greater.
You don't have proof of that though.
Yes, well, I don't have a pregnant woman standing by my side or anything, but if if you look at a pregnant woman, the process, of the baby being developed or the fetus, whatever, being developed inside, that's like something growing. It's like one of those little sponge toys that you throw in the water and it starts growing. You
Yeah,
got
but hold on, what?
you got a Gia growing inside you.
Yeah, but we're not saying okay, get an abortion at 7 months. Like obviously, yeah, that is I would
Yeah, no,
say that's
not
murder.
7 months. Not 7 months. It's a nine months process, man. It
Well,
starts with one end and ends at another.
it's not like people are getting abortions at that far along though. That's why it happens in the very beginning when it's not even really a being.
That's what I'm saying. Like throughout the whole process, it's still no matter what part of the process you're at, when a mother's developing a child inside them, it's every step of the way is important.
So let's say someone gets pregnant and they don't want the baby. What do you want them to do?
Well, there's adoption,
So many kids in the system already.
and there's so many parents that want children. It's hard to get a hold on a child. That's why there's foster parents, which is the easier process. Not saying that it's easy in the first place. It's just that it's more it's more likely you're gonna have a few children in your hands if you're a foster parent rather than a person that wants to adopt a child outright.
It's hard to say because I wouldn't say, oh, if I ever accidentally got pregnant, I would immediately get an abortion because either decision that you make, it's going to be a hard one. But I think I would still feel like more guilty giving a baby up, knowing how corrupt the system is, especially foster care. There's so many foster parents who abuse those children. Like I would rather just have the baby, not become a person than have a child go through that.
Would you rather have a chance? I mean, you're alive right now. Like, wouldn't you want another being to exist and have their own life?
Here's the thing, none of us asked for this though.
But aren't you glad for it?
Not
That sounds very selfish. Like because you don't ask for something, but you still have something like a gift of money. Like say I gave you $200. You didn't ask for it, but it's still yours. You still have it. You still received it. You own it now, basically. You have that $200. What are you
that
gonna do
doesn't
with
mean
it?
that doesn't mean everyone's life is a gift though.
Of course, there's plenty of people that go through hardships and terrible things in their own lives, but that's what it is. It's a life. That's the main thing. It's a life.
I'm not saying that people I mean, I don't think it's wrong to want a child to have a life, but the problem that I have is when people try to take that away from women and say that they don't deserve the choice and like, oh, you should have the baby because there's also trauma that comes with carrying a baby inside of you and delivering it. Like your whole body changes, your mental state changes, and that's also hard on the mother.
Absolutely. No one's denying that. Everyone, not everyone, but most people know, especially women that, go through the labor of having a child, knows that there could be complications every step of the way. There could be problems with the baby or with the mother. Miscarriages, the mother could become diabetic, have heart problems, the baby could get tangled up in there, the baby could develop wrong. There could be a problem with what's it called when the baby is like overturned? A breached birth, is that what's called?
For like a stillborn?
Um,
Or is it like when they don't turn around to
yeah, when they don't turn around. I think that's a breached birth. I'm not sure. I remember learning this in sex ed,
I
something
don't
like
know
that.
the exact term, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not saying it's going to be easy on the mother, but isn't it more worth it? Like, isn't the journey worth like, 'cause making life isn't easy. Like, even Frankenstein had to sew up and harness electricity to make a being come to life. And a mother, they do that naturally. I'm not sure about the whole process, but it's nothing like shooting lightning into your body and giving the baby life.
I think something is shooting up inside your body.
You
Okay, well think about it in this case. What if a little girl gets raped? Do you think she should still go through the birth and process to give
Now,
it up for adoption?
that's where I draw the line. Now, there is laws that should be in place for that. And there are, it's illegal to rape someone. And I think it is acceptable for a girl to have an abortion then. Um, there should be like critiques to like having an abortion. If you were raped and you can prove it, then yes, you can have an abortion.
Because there's even people who are like, these children matter, but then there's children who are getting raped. Like, don't those children matter too? I wouldn't want a child to go through that pain of having to have a child when they're still a baby.
And that is a whole another thing about child sex rings and human trafficking. That's a whole another thing, and that is something that every nation, everywhere on the world has that problem. And you wouldn't know per se if a child was, to be aborted that wouldn't happen to them. People kidnap children to happy families, and those children are used in sex rings. If that child was aborted in the beginning and they never gotten taken, sure you saved them from rape, but that family lost the child either way.
Oh, I mean, like people have miscarriages like very early on in their pregnancy. I mean, they are experiencing that loss. Like, I'm not, like, obviously it is a being, but I don't like when people call it murder because you're putting like blame on the woman when also it takes two people for a baby to be created, and it's always like shame on the mother for making that decision when I'm sure that decision it wasn't an easy one, you know?
Now, I might be using the wrong word here, but have you heard of a semination
I don't know what that
where
is.
a baby is implanted into the woman without the man being a participant in the action? So say there's a woman that wants to have a child, so they apply at a sperm bank or something, and they select you know how they go and select from fathers, right? Like
Yeah.
the whole catalog thing. Okay, I only know about the process through TV shows and movies. I haven't gone and done that myself.
I mean, you could get some money from that.
I mean, yeah, I guess. And, so the mother, there doesn't have to be a man in the process, technically, to
But
become pregnant.
but those women purposely want to get pregnant, so I don't know why they would want to have an abortion.
But you're saying how it takes a man to have a baby, which is technically true, but it's not always the truth.
Oh, no, that that isn't comparable in this situation because those people are purposely trying to get pregnant. So in this case, it is two people coming together.
And then they have a miscarriage. But how does that apply to abortion too?
I was just saying, like, when women have miscarriages early on in their pregnancy, like, I'm not going to say, oh, that wasn't even like a human being to begin with, because it was, like, even if it is like just a month in, like, you're still allowed to mourn that loss. That's what I'm saying. Like, I still,
No, that is a curious thing. I don't, it's not technically a human when it's just a month in. I don't even think
I
it's big
mean,
enough, you know?
that's what I'm also saying. Like, how can you call it murder when it's not alive yet? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, it is
Because
alive.
abortions,
It is alive, I think, because you can't just have a dead thing inside you, you know? It's alive
but
in
it's
its
like
own way.
in the very beginning, it's like the size of your like pinky finger, like the tip of your pinky or something.
Or ants are the size, are smaller than that, and they're alive.
Point being, a heartbeat doesn't even start until I don't know how many weeks in. And if you find out you're pregnant and you're like a month, like it's not murder then.
But is it? Because it's still an organism. Granted, it would be like killing a germ or something like that. Something
Or a
comparable.
plant.
Well, a plant is a living thing too.
But once you pick a flower, doesn't it die?
Yes, but that flower could be saved. But it's not comparable to like a organism, like an organism, because when a woman's like a month pregnant, it's not like comparable to a flower because it does kind of have a stem, doesn't it? When it's connected by the umbilical cord and all that. That is interesting. What comes first? Like the egg and the sperm combines, and then from there, where does it go? Like, does it make the umbilical cord and then the little bean, or does it become the bean and grows from there? Like, I'm no
It's like a
doctor.
little tiny. It's like a little tiny circle, and as it grows, because it doesn't have like a mouth yet, so how's it gonna eat?
Well,
I mean,
the
it doesn't
umbilical
go to the
cord.
mouth, but like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
but like, it hasn't developed all its parts yet, so how's it gonna eat?
yeah, you're right. Well, how do flowers, germs, and all that eat? They have their own ways, their own systems. I think it still collects nutrients through the bloodstream from the mother.
Maybe we should have researched more before talking about it.
Well, we're talking about abortions, not the steps on how a baby is created. But that is
My point is that if you're gonna be pro-life, then you should advocate for all life, and because a lot of those people who say that they are like these also these types of people are also like just I don't know, they're very hypocritical in a lot of ways.
Are you talking about the whole Black Lives and this and that matter?
Yes, it's like, okay, pro-life. Okay, so what about the children in the system? What about people who are getting killed? And then you try to like twist it and make it about yourself. But if it's pro-life, why aren't you caring about other people's lives?
Well, people are selfish. You gotta understand that. People fight for one thing but ignore the others. Like they fight for themselves, you know what I'm saying? They're selfish.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's why I don't like that saying, and I don't like when people call it murder because there's people who are actually getting
Murdered.
murdered out there.
But like they're murdered because they're alive. That's the thing. So, you know what I'm saying?
But I just feel like people blame the mother when you're like, oh, you murdered it. Like, even if it was
Well, technically the
like
doctor
it's
murdered it.
yeah, but nobody's getting mad at doctors. They're getting mad at the women.
Hmm, that is true. Want to talk about
Um,
the whole Black Lives and All Lives Matter?
didn't we already speak about that?
Just a little bit.
Well, what would you like to add on?
Well, I guess I'll be All Lives Matter. And you could be Black Lives.
Oh, here we go.
So all lives matter because, well, all life is our lives, you know? Why only splinter it to one race? Aren't we all brothers and sisters? Aren't we all Asian, Hispanic, white, black? Aren't we all
No,
just,
we're not.
we're not? Why?
Actually, our all of our ancestors were black at one point.
And then what happened?
Well, we I don't know.
I don't know.
History. I mean, people started moving up north, and then, slavery happened.
So they moved up north and then slavery happened. And that changed people's skin color?
I mean, think about it.
So
The only
if I moved to Canada, would I become white?
I'm talking about history,
Yeah, I
like,
know. Just joking.
but also think about us, like, we're literally mixed because Europeans came over and raped our ancestors.
That is true. The Spaniards came over here, or South America and a little bit of North America. Um, what was I saying? There is still slavery today, you know, human trafficking. They're not really doing it on their will. That's technically slavery, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
How come we're not fighting that? We're fighting each other about the past.
it's not even the past, it's things that are happening now.
Well, you're talking about slavery. Is there slavery? Are people enslaving black people today?
In some countries, yeah.
In what country?
I don't know exact
Not
countries, but
America. Not here in America.
but black people are like getting lynched and stuff.
So are white people.
Okay, I don't know about that.
It's true. Everyone
But
everyone gets killed. You don't.
I don't know why when we're like trying to talk about a specific issue, someone has to be like, "Oh, but what about blank? And what about blank?" Like let's say we're talking about breast cancer, like, "But what about lung cancer?" Like, no, we're specifically talking about breast cancer. Why
But
why do you have to
because all cancer matters.
I am about to go.
If we solve if we solve the problem of cancer in the first place, then we don't have to worry about breast cancer because breast cancer is a sect of, you know, all the cancers in a way.
Well, exactly. You can't cure it.
We can't cure it now, but there's always the future to look forward to.
And the same thing with racism. Like the 60s weren't that long ago. Like it's not going to be solved in a matter of like 70 years,
Well,
like
the 60s was like 40 years ago.
40, yeah, like
No, that's wrong.
That's
so
like
like think about that before like 70 years ago. Okay, like they were granted the right to vote, and that wasn't even like all, that was just black men, and women didn't get the right to vote until after, like women of color.
it's because girls like you make things complicated.
And I think that's why men, we're, it's just like we're talking about one specific issue, and like let's say you were like talking about your problems, and I came in and was like, but what about my problems? And I talked over you, and I spoke over you, and I made your feelings invalid because I was talking about my own. Like, don't you deserve your time to talk about your feelings?
Well, if we have a common issue, maybe we can solve it together. And maybe relating to you can also help me solve my problem. It will soothe me in a way of like thinking, hey, I'm not alone. Someone else has these problems too. They can relate to me. And so I would be interested in hearing you to learn from you and see how you've dealt with that problem as well.
I also had this one time when my friend, we were like relating on something, and then she like insinuated that she had it worse than me, and I don't, that just like made me really mad. Like, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me again.
Well, that's human nature. Some people just want more attention than the others. And so they try to make themselves, be extra special by saying, well, yeah, you're depressed. I'm more depressed. You know what I'm saying?
It was literally like that. I'm like, bruh, can I just be sad for 5 minutes?
Well, everyone has a problem, and some people think their problem is worse. How did it go? How was the story
What story?
about your friend trying to one up you?
I don't want to give specifics, but we were just like talking about our struggles, and I mentioned something, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that exact same thing happened to me,
But
but
worse.
in this way."
Yeah, in that way.
Yeah,
It's like
it's like,
it's like me saying, "Oh, I made a sweet jump off a ramp," and this other person came up and was like, "Yeah, I did the same jump, but I did a kickflip. Yeah."
yeah, it's just like let people have their own spaces to talk about their own issues and their own problems, and you can have your other space. And yes, we can come together on certain things, but it's also important to have our moment and hear each other out.
Everybody has a voice. Everybody has a vote. Everybody has a life. And wouldn't you want other
Not,
people to have their lives?
if it's not harming anybody else.
So then abortion is wrong. I win.
Either way, like, let's say, okay, they try to make abortion illegal, like, people are still gonna be trying to have them, like, with hangers.
Yeah, there's old-fashioned ways, going downstairs, taking drugs, stuff like that.
And exactly, so that person is just harming themselves in the process as well because they're that desperate to
Some
not
people
have a
cut
baby.
themselves. Some
But like,
people
I'm
just
just saying, like, making it illegal isn't gonna solve anything. It's just like
no.
gonna make things
I'm not.
worse.
No one here is saying to make it illegal. I think there should be certain um what am I thinking of? Certain situational things that you could qualify for abortion. You have to be qualified to have one. Not just anyone could go in and have one. That's what I'm trying to say.
Why not?
Because a life is a life, my dude.
Okay, so what if I got pregnant and I came to you and I was like, should I get an abortion? You would try to talk me out of it,
Absolutely.
even though I didn't want the baby?
Uh, If I love you, I'm pretty sure I would love the baby even more.
Oh, so do you want it?
Um, are you giving me your child?
I mean, since all life matters,
Well, that should
you
be
can
a
take care of it.
that should be a conversation we should have off the podcast.
What?
I mean, that's a very important question to answer.
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, then why are you joking about something so serious, my dude?
I'm just saying in a situation where I
Oh,
didn't
well,
want a baby.
yeah, I would take the baby.
You would.
Yes, I would love it.
Okay. Single dad?
Single dad. Hey, I can bring in the ladies like, I found this baby. I saved it.
Uh,
I saved it from a
that's
storm drain.
another. that is another conversation because there's so many single moms and it's silence, but oh, one single dad, he's so great. Worship him. Ah,
Well, we could talk about that now. There's no reason why we shouldn't. I really don't have
this
a
is
I don't have a stance on this. I think single moms have it way worse than single dads.
this may be our most controversial episode yet because we're talking about so many different things.
It's true.
Um, double standards. Number 15.
That's the thing I hate is favoritism. I hate when someone else is praised more than the other. Not because of jealousy, because we all are equally made. We're all, and of course, some people do deserve favoritism, but if it's undeserved, it's not right. At least to me.
What would be another example of that?
Hmm. Let's say, okay, here's a good way of favoritism. Here's a good one. Let's say a general versus a private. Now, of course, the general's getting all the praise, and he deserves the praise because, well, he's wise, he's experienced. And I'm not saying every general is this way. Some people get there by education. And of course, education can only take you so far. And let's see, a bad scenario would be a bunch of Boy Scouts, and the head scout dude praises one kid for just being a Boy Scout. um, so like that's not right. I mean, they're all part of the team, or like a soccer team. Like one, well, that's another thing. Let's say they're all of equal skill, but they praise one kid because like he's like good looking, or he he doesn't mess up as often as the other guys on the team, so they praise them for him for that. No, no, that is strange. I
I
guess
mean,
what? I was kind
you could like you could apply that to like sexism and homophobia and racism. Like
of
everyone's created equal, right? But then straight people are treated differently, white people are treated differently, men are treated differently,
it's
and are seen as like the best.
well, just because people are afraid of change, and if you change it up by having a homosexual man being a good dad or whatever, people are not going to think so because they're not used to the idea of a homosexual father raising a child. And so they would rather have, hey, Jerry from up the street with his wife and one kid, rather than Tom from down the street with his husband and one kid, you know? Like they rather have something they're used to rather than something they're not used to.
Yeah, it's just so weird because like obviously with time, like yeah, things have changed, but there's also like because people are taught these things, right? So
Yes,
like
absolutely.
I see people my age who are just as hateful as like their grandparents, and it's like I don't know, it's just so weird to me.
I used to hate homosexuals. That's the thing I'm willing to admit. And I don't hate them as much. Nah. No, they're okay in my book. If you're gay, that's okay. And that's a quote from me right there.
Oh my God. But yeah, it's because it was something that you were taught.
Yes, yes.
And you know, some people are willing to unlearn it, and other people are just want to be, you know, stuck in their ways
Well, there's
because
wisdom.
it's easier for them.
There's wisdom in being stuck in your ways. It's safer that way. People are less likely to be injured or harmed if they stick to what they know.
Well, yeah, people are stubborn.
What's so stubborn about not wanting to pet a snake if you know a snake could possibly injure you?
But you don't know that. That's just what you were taught. Like, what if someone taught you 5 plus 1 is 7?
Well, then
And
that's what we
you
would
were
think.
exactly, but you weren't willing to hear other people say, no, but it equals 6. And you refuse to listen to other people. Like, that's just you being stuck and
So
not wanting
that's like
to.
the whole thing about the flat Earth. And Christopher Columbus, that's a good one. People were taught that Christopher Columbus was the first one to find America, but apparently Vikings were the first ones. And many people still want to say Christopher Columbus was the first one, was the first explorer. But technically, the Vikings were.
But technically, native people already lived here.
We're talking about from other nations sailing, because Native Americans didn't have the technology to sail across the ocean. That's what we're talking about. Not talking about people who already lived here and discovered the lands by existing. We're talking about people that sailed across the ocean, which is no small feat. It's a very difficult thing, especially with their technology, wooden boats, no compasses, this and
Okay,
that.
okay, I'll give Mr. Columbus that.
Or the Vikings. See, the
Okay, or you see, I
Vikings.
never even heard the thing about the Vikings.
Really? You never heard about
Y-
this?
No.
Wow. Okay, so it lies in between what you were saying about the math, about 2 + 2 = 7 instead of 4. If you were taught one
Two
way,
plus.
if
Oh
you're
yeah.
if you're taught one way, you wouldn't be likely to believe another way. It's like but people can change. It's like religion. People can convert religions because they open their own eyes. They explore the world around them and they learn from themselves a new way of doing math.
That's like another thing too. Like what we were taught in schools, like they they never gave us the full story.
That is true. I've heard that in college that they teach you way more things than they do in high school.
Well, we wouldn't know that, would we?
I went to college, if you remember, albeit I'm a college dropout. So, and I didn't take a history
Did you
class.
take? Okay,
I only took an English class. But I did learn a lot from that class.
that's good.
I think my professor was an English and history teacher, actually. He would always
Did
talk,
they
yeah,
talk about the Vikings?
yeah, no, he talked about all kinds of stuff. He talked about America's history, American history. That's what I'm trying to say. He would talk about that. I learned about the Vikings actually in high school from my geography teacher, maybe my geography teacher.
What was it a part of the curriculum, or he just like randomly mentioned it?
He brought it up because he's always, on the search of new things. History was his passion. He was actually a doctorate in psychology. Now that I remember, his name was Dr. Soul. And rest his soul.
Oh, he died?
No, he got fired.
Oh,
And
for what?
you sister knows the story because she was still there when he got fired. So I think, I think he might have grabbed a student by the arm and wanted to take them outside to talk to them, but the student didn't want to get up. So that's one thing. And then I think he was like yelling at another student like so much that the student complained on him. So I don't know. I guess those two things, the school thought he had like anger issues, and so they fired him.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't know. He was a nice man. He gave me a gift when I left.
So he's giving you presents and then he's yelling at other students.
Yes, ma'am. Even though I was the bully.
To him?
Not to him.
Meanwhile, my teacher went to go cry in the hallway one time because he couldn't deal with us anymore.
He. Huh, that's funny.
What, a man crying is funny?
Yeah, it is.
It actually was because this girl was like arguing with him and then he like left in the middle of class to go cry and then the next semester we had a new teacher.
Jesus. There had to be more than just that, though. There had to be an underlying issue with him um, just breaking like that.
Yeah, but then he still taught the same subject just for a different grade.
Well, he got moved. That's good. I mean, he's still going at it. He didn't give up.
Yeah, I think he just couldn't deal with our class because I also had another teacher that had a breakdown in elementary school because of my grade. Gosh, kids are. I do feel bad for teachers sometimes.
Yeah. So I had a teacher named Miss Pitts.
Are you for real?
I swear to the Lord. Um, the students always call her Miss Arm Pitts, of course.
You guys are so mean.
And I don't know what finally broke the camel's back, but one day she's like stopped, grabbed a book, slammed it on her desk, and said, "I had enough of you." And then she walked on out.
Oh my God. It's sad when you think about it, but like every time a teacher would like yell at us, like I just didn't know what to do, that I just started like laughing because it's so awkward.
Yeah, it's very abrupt. I mean, it is a professional um workplace area kind of for them, you know. And most teachers do well. They don't bring up their home life at all. Some share it openly,
Oh
and
gosh.
it just depends on the person, I suppose.
Yeah, I had my Spanish teacher senior year. She would always talk about her ex-husband, and I assumed like, oh, they recently got divorced, but they got divorced in the 80s, and she
Hmm.
was still talking about it.
Maybe he was a good guy. Maybe he was something like me, something very hard to lose.
No, she would always talk bad about him. So,
Well, maybe it was a form of like therapy for her, a very slow therapy.
oh, like over 30 years later.
Yeah, because therapy isn't supposed to be permanent. It's supposed to get you to a certain goal of like mobility or a new horizon in yourself.
Yeah, I hope she's okay now.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe maybe she got an abortion.
I hope she's not having kids that late in her life. I don't think it's possible for her.
Oh, you never know. Science is a miracle in itself.